How we doing, guys? It's another live session. I'm the editor-in-chief of the Watercraft Journal. My name is Kevin Shaw. Welcome to another Sunday night live session. We have another great, we actually have a great topic tonight. We're actually going to have a little bit of fun on this one. And hopefully you guys had a great week. It's been, it's been a little cold in Tennessee. And to be honest, after my whole little run-in with COVID last month, I simply just haven't had the nerve to jump out in the water, which I normally do. I actually never had a problem doing it before. I just don't have it in me. So I've been a little, I've been a little bit of a chicken lately. So I need to man up and get out on the water and do some video. So I apologize for that. That actually has put my filming schedule behind quite a bit. So we have some stuff on the schedule right now for that. We do have a little bit of news to go over and a couple other things. But first, let me get the super chat that came in from Chris. Chris asked, 2001 Sea-Doo XP 951 has been given to me. Is it worth having WatCon or someone rebuild it as a backup ski or something just to throw around? Is it solid? Is it junk? There are more performance parts. Well, that's a good question. I cannot comment on whether it's junk or if it's solid or not. That depends on the condition. That's kind of tough to kind of make a declarative statement. But the 2001 XP and definitely the 951 was around for years, and it was a favorite for racers. It was a favorite for surf jumpers. And the XP is kind of legendary for Sea-Doo enthusiasts. So I would strongly recommend looking into it. If you talk to John Ziegler at WatCon, give him my best. I've known John for a very long time. John has a very cool Oldsmobile, restored Oldsmobile. And they're not like the best thing ever for a guy who's unfamiliar with them. But if you're into rowdy riding and if you're into jumping wakes and really beating the tar out of a two-stroke, the XP, there are worse machines than the XP 951. And I'm understating that quite a bit. There's guys who live and die by the original XPs. So Chris, that's a good find. I think you'd be in good company if you got that rebuilt. Holy cow from Greg. Massive super chat from Greg. Happy Sunday. Cold here too. Snowed 20 inches. Oh my gosh. Oh, that sounds like hell. Oh, we got less than an inch this week. And it just dusted the backyard. The kids played and we threw snowballs at each other. But nothing like that. That shuts down a state. That's pretty brutal. So, Greg, my heart goes out to you, and thank you very much for the super chat. Okay, a couple more bits of news so that we can get the crowd coming in because a lot of stragglers come in a little late. And I know there's people who are like, get to the topic. You guys can just skip ahead because I know you're watching this late. We did run out of the extra large Watercraft Journal long sleeve jerseys. We amazingly sold out, and I thought we got more than I was expecting. There's less than a dozen. In fact, we're almost in all single digits except for double X. So for you guys who are double X, now is your time because I think we got like maybe 13 or 14. Everyone else is in single digits. Small, medium, large, and triple X. But we are out of XL. We need to pretty much we need to tap this run dry before we get a new order. That's how our supplier is. So, obviously it's not going to be completely dry, but we need to kind of whittle that down a little bit more. And we're going to come back with blue. We're looking at kind of a Pacific Ocean green, and there's going to be kind of a brighter surprise color that hopefully some people enjoy. I really don't want to do like a sunrise yellow, but a lot of like old school Sea-Doo guys are like, dude, do yellow. And I'm like, ugh, it's not my cup of tea, but it's not about me. It's about you guys. So if you guys want yellow, we can do yellow. If you want orange, we can do orange. But the two colors that we're definitely doing are kind of a Pacific Ocean green, and we're bringing back the Bimini blue. All right. Let's see here. Hey, I'm going to say this out of the gate, and I want all of you guys who are in it for the long haul, all you guys who are red or orange. Okay, red or orange. I mean, maybe red. You got. I mean, that'd be good for visibility. This one. For you guys who are hanging out and are going to be here for the whole night or the whole show, I will rely on the audience to repeat this. As of right now, I have 0 updates on arrivals of new personal watercraft. There's no new news. I have been hearing some really. There is good news. There is good news. I have good news. More SVHOs are showing up, and jet blasters are in dealerships. In fact, believe it or not, the little tiny Yamaha Kawasaki dealer just up the street from me, the only 2022 jet ski they have in their showroom is a jet blaster, and I presume it's going to be gone tomorrow. So it's going to disappear. But yeah, there's not going to be. I was going to say I didn't have any updates, but then I lied because I realized there was a couple. So some of the supercharged Yamahas are starting to trickle in. I'm getting notes and updates and emails from a lot of people who are like, "Hey, this GP SVHO just showed up, and I grabbed it as fast as possible." And these are guys who are listening to my advice or saying, hang out on social media and just kind of pay attention to when updates come in. And I just got one from a reader who was like, "Holy cow! I just jumped on this brand new GP. I was waiting for an HO, but this SVHO is here, so I stepped into an SVHO." Other guys have updates on Sea-Doos that they're waiting a week, maybe 2 weeks at most, for dashboards and ECUs to come pouring in. So that's good news. The other good news that I want to make sure I'm not missing anything, especially super chats. So this is the really good news for you Sea-Doo guys. I was told I do not have the official memo. So I like to read the official memos when they come in. But I was told that whether it was because of me and last week's podcast, or it was just part of the process, we talked a little bit about dealers who were charging customers to install the dashboards, install the ECMs, install the DES keys. And I was like, well, that doesn't seem right, especially because you paid a price up front. You shouldn't be paying for them to finish the product. You didn't buy an unfinished product, nor should they charge you that. And thankfully, those instances are being protested. And I also got a follow-up on one of the gentlemen who got charged. I believe he got charged $1,600 by the dealer. He protested it, and BRP Corporate immediately came in and issued a statement saying, "No, sir, you are not to pay this. This is covered by warranty. This is a warranty expense. You are not liable for the $1,600 for installation. Everything else, obviously, is between you and your dealer, but your dealer should not be charging you this $1,600 to finish the product." So BRP is doing right, and they are working with the dealers and saying, "This is warranty work. This does not concern the customer. Don't you dare charge the customer. You charge us." So that's really good news. So hopefully I'm afraid that I might have spooked some people because the comment section got pretty gnarly. Some guys were like, "That's crap and I'll never buy a Sea-Doo." And I'm like, "Oh, dude, no, hold on. it's not Sea-Doo. There's something going on. It needs to be fixed. And thankfully, I realized, hopefully you guys could hear me. So the good news there is BRP, I guess, sent out an internal memo to the dealers saying if a Watercraft arrives incomplete, obviously hang on to it. The parts will be showing up. And from what I've been told, pretty quickly. And once they have a checklist, they have a very thorough checklist. The technicians and the service department are to perform the installation and then perform a series of tests. And these are the exact same tests that they do actually at assembly, which is good. Then they're supposed to communicate that to corporate because they're having to do this circuitous route when it comes to record keeping. And when the dealership finishes the ski, they contact BRP, they contact corporate and say, this is built, this is finished, it's ready to go into the customer's hands, it's passed all these tests or all these, these requirements, green light. And they green light it and it shows up, or the customer gets a phone call, he shows up, gets the ski, goes home. So those are some good news. They are making good internal moves that are to protect the consumer and to make sure that the product is at the same level of quality as it would have left completed from the Juarez plant. So that's an update. As far as delivery dates, I still don't have any news on delivery dates, but I did hear some good news regarding Yamaha showing up, and I heard some good news regarding BRP making sure the customer is protected and is not charged for the final installation of any missing product or any missing components. So good news there. All right. So okay, two more things before we get into the topic. I guess I typically take about 20 minutes to get to the main topic, so I apologize. I'm going to eat crow on two things, and I have no problem saying when I'm wrong. The first is an apology. We did a quick topic segment, and it was like, I don't like the alphabet soup names. And it was like RXPX and RXTX and STX 160X and all that kind of stuff. I was like, yeah, give it cool names like the muscle cars. Muscle cars had cool names. And a guy commented, and he goes, well, what about GTO? And I'm like, well, yeah. I'm like, that's Gran Turismo Omologato or homologated. My Italian doesn't exist. So it's Gran Turismo Omologato. I've known that since I was probably 13 because I was a car kid. And then he's like, well, you're a Mopar guy. And he started teasing me about Mopars. So I was like, okay, this is a cool car guy. And so I started giving him grief and we started chit-chatting. And the thread got like 20 comments long. And in there, I made a comment about a car I owned, and he made a comment. And we both worked for the parent company of Hot Rod Magazine. And he during the 80s and 90s, and me during the 2000s. And so we were kind of, talking about guys we knew and talking about this really famous drag race. And I had made a comment about one of the engines and having solid lifters, having a solid cam, what's called a solid cam. And he's like, no, Kevin, no, they never had solid cams. And I was like, no, this one version, this Hurst Olds 1969, 1968, 1969, and 71, the 455 big blocks had what was called a solid cam. And he was like, no, I'm telling you right now, you're wrong. And I kind of stood my ground because I knew for years this is what I understood to be true. And I stood my ground and was like, no, just like car guys do and do this. And a buddy of mine reached out and he goes, "Hey, you're talking about the Commotion car, aren't you?" And Commotion was the name of a drag race car from 1969. It was an Oldsmobile Hearst Olds with a 455 big block, and had big letters written Commotion. And I was like, "Well, yeah, I knew that car. I knew all about it. I did articles on it." And he goes, "Yeah, dude, that thing was totally built. It wasn't stock. Stock 455s, all of them, regardless of the performance level, had hydraulic cams." And I was like, "Oh shit." So I was way wrong on that. And so I apologized. And what was funny was, as I apologized, it got tagged by our team as being a spam thing, and they deleted the comment. And I'm like, "Oh, how do I restore a comment?" And they're like, "You don't restore comments." And I'm like, "Okay, well, this guy thinks I just threw a temper tantrum and cut it." And so whoever it was who was calling me out on being wrong, you were right. I was wrong. I'm publicly apologizing for being a jerk. I was just standing my ground because I was like, "No, man, ever since I was like 24, I knew this fact to be true, and it was wrong." And so I'm just saying, I'm eating crow on that one. What was hilarious was just this week, John Bobbitt. John, was it you? John, were you the guy? John, if that's you, then I owe you a massive apology. I apologize because, yeah, dang it. No. I cut my teeth on, I'll have to get back to it, but who's the guy in St. Pete? He owned all the super stock cars. I was there all the time working on his Mopars, and yeah, not me. Oh, okay. So, anyway, it gets into more car stuff, and people who want to listen about jet skis are going to get mad. So I apologize. So it's a mea culpa on my end, and I screamed at our guys, and I didn't really scream at them, but I was like, "Well, that guy's going to be pissed off." But I was going to say was that some dude got real mad because he saw that exchange, and he took the time to write a postcard, which that kind of tells me you're probably in your 70s, but because I don't know anyone who's going to take the time to write a postcard. But he was real mad and was like, "I'm never going to watch your channel ever again." I'm like, "All right, sorry, you came in the comment section of a YouTube video where two car guys were butting heads." I'm like, if you're going to find two more stubborn people on the planet, it's going to be old muscle car guys who are arguing, that kind of stuff. So that is the first apology. That's the first thing I got to apologize for and make a correction on. And the second thing is I kind of threw a hissy fit over hosting rides. And because I wanted to really, I wanted to host rides that were super like enduro, like high endurance, offshore, beat the hell out of you, push you and your ski level rides. And a lot of people were tempted by that idea and were excited about it. But logistically, I couldn't turn people away. And so I just kind of had a bad taste in my mouth. And then I got COVID and I failed to attend the ride that Ricky and Billy were putting together in New Orleans. And the initial reporting was like, "Oh yeah, everything's going bad," but by the end of the day, they're like, "Dude, it's good. Chill out. It went really well. Everyone had fun." And I was, I don't want to blame COVID, but I just was a grouch and all bent out of shape. And so I'm like, "Well, I'm not doing these anymore. This sucks." And thankfully I've been a little humbled Had a couple friends kind of talk some sense into me. So I'm interested in hosting rides. I'm happy to do long distance. I'm happy to make people bring gas or bring food, but it's not going to be these like trial by fire, initiation into manhood level rides. Um, but I think it'd be fun to do like these all day rides that, you'll be proud that you did this route. So I'm back. I'm back on the horse when it comes to hosting rides again. But I am going to need locals' suggestions and locals' help. Like if you suggest it, I'm going to lean on you to be the guy to basically be the captain of the route. Or if you know someone who'd be willing to do that, because you can't expect me to know every route and every little, nook and cranny. But I am interested in getting back into hosting, Watercraft Journal rides where I give out a bunch of stuff and, I bring a bunch of swag from advertisers and media partners, and everyone gets to go out and do kind of fun stuff. Yeah, that's kind of the plan. Is I'm thinking about doing that. So, who wants to do something in February? Right? Who wants to freeze their nads off in February? Let's do something in February, preferably later in the month. So email me at info@watercraftjournal.com if you have ideas for rides that could be done in February. I'm only going to think about February. February. Did I mention I'm only concerning February? So let's talk about rides and routes. I don't care if it's in Florida. I don't care if it's in Texas. Let's talk about rides. So email me at info@watercraftjournal.com if you have ideas about rides. Okay. That's everything for news. 22 minutes in. I know we're going to have some guys who are all bent out of shape about, hey, man, where's Kevin? Where's the topic? What are you guys doing? Hey, real quick. If you have a super chat, if you've got a question that's burning a hole in you, you got to super chat because super chats get priority. Okay? Because super chat puts up a big colored box, and that makes me stop what I'm doing, and I'll immediately answer your question. We run out of time, and I'm going to talk about this in detail a little bit later, but we only have so much time, so super chats get priority. So if you have a question that's really like Kevin's got to answer it, you're going to have to super chat. So I apologize. It just bumps you way ahead of the line. Otherwise, I might not be able to get to it at the end. Okay, so let's talk about the topic at hand. About a week ago, got an email from a reader, and he came to me and he was like, "Hey, Kevin, I'm looking at doing some video on my ski, want to go ride. What kind of GoPro mount should I buy?" Well, that's kind of a tough one. So I write him back and I'm like, "Hey, thanks for the email. I personally own 5 different mounts and 2 different selfie sticks, or 4 different mounts that mount to the ski and 2 selfie sticks." And I said, "Quite frankly, it all depends on what kind of filming you're planning on doing, how hard you ride, what kind of water conditions you're on. There's just too many things for me to answer." And he wrote back and he goes, "Okay, well, I'm looking at Amazon. I'm looking at, some cheap offers." And I'm like, "Just stop. Just stop." And I said, "I'm going to tell you, you get what you pay for when it comes to these things. There are a lot of cheap Chinese knockoffs. And you're going to be like, man, I can pay $12 for this one or $70 for that mount. I'll buy the $12 mount." And I said, "I can't tell you where to spend your money. I will tell you, when you get into the high dollar stuff, you're typically paying for the name when it's like the official GoPro stuff. but it's pretty damn durable. The only thing I can suggest is never go and do any GoPro filming without a big orange life jacket, the foam float on your cameras. I've lost 2 cameras, several $100s worth of cameras, learned from my mistakes. And he wrote me back a thank you note and was like, hey, that's great. That's awesome. And I was like, it's better safe than sorry. Maybe you should spend the money where it matters. And then he goes, yeah, I think I agree. Amazingly, today in a Yamaha Facebook group, a guy puts up a picture. He's like, I just got these 2 wave runners, and he went out and he got the bright blue GP 1800R SVHO, and next to it I think was like a VX HO or a VX Cruiser on a brand new trailer. It's a lot of money. I mean, that's a lot of money right there. That's probably about 40 grand. And maybe less, maybe 35. But he puts up this picture and he goes, oh, I just got these new toys. I'm all excited. Who can recommend a good life vest? I don't want to spend another $500 for 4 life vests. And I put up the link to the video. I'm like, you should tune in tonight. And now I'm name dropping his post. So I'm not trying to call him out. But what was hilarious about the whole thing was I'm like, you're going to get what you pay for when it comes to that stuff. And I started noodling on it, and I was like, all right, well, there's different kinds of life vests. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but there's different kinds of life vests. And, I think of my kids, and when they were little, they had the little floaty, the floaty arms that went on their arm and it went across their chest. And they could just paddle around the pool. They could just go little floaty floats. And I'm like, well, those aren't rated for a boat. Those aren't rated for a jet ski. It's a class 5 rating. There's specialty use. I mean, you can't even legally use that little float. If I had my kid between my legs on a kayak, it's still, I could get in trouble with any water sheriff, any parks department representative. That's not a suitable life vest. Then I started thinking about the class 1 life vest that I used to race offshore with. And that was a totally different creature than what I regularly ride with. I ride with a regular slippery side entry, slip over my head vest. Has a zipper with 2 buckles. And that's a class 3. All right. That's a class 3 life vest. The class 1 life vests, not only, they had to do a couple things. They had to protect your neck, so there's a little bit of a collar. They had to have enough flotation to keep your head above water if you were knocked out. And it had to be designed to have enough flotation to, if I was face down in the water, it would flip me over. Okay, that's a class 1. Now, the class 1 that I used to race with had Kevlar in it. All right, it's pretty heavy duty. It was an expensive life vest. Let me take a break and answer Greg's super chat. Sorry, speaking of GoPros, you mentioned the orange floats on them. You ever have any issues of the salt water damaging the cameras? They make extra cases for them, but you can't use the floats. I've taken all of my GoPros out into salt water, and I have them all with the floats, big wraparound orange life jackets. And I've never had water intrusion, and I've physically stuck them underwater in salt water. Now I wash them off, and I don't let the salt water dry because it crusts up my camera, and then all my pictures turn out to be crap, which I'm sure you've seen some of our video, and it looks like crap because I'm not a professional videographer. But I really have not had problems. Typically what I do when I'm done and I'm spraying salt away or soaping down my ski is I take the GoPros out and I'll soap them down and let the salt away and let the soap do its job. And then you hose them off and then you hose off the rest of them. And Bob's your uncle, you're done. You're good. So I really haven't had salt intrusion. I really haven't had that big of a problem. I'm friends with a couple guys who are experienced surfers, still live out in California, and they use GoPros all the time. So no, they're pretty solid. Step up to a GoPro 8 Hero and higher. The older ones, you can get them for a song, but they're not as durable as the 8s. I found the 8s are really a winner. And the nice thing is that the 8s are all getting refurbished, and they have the vibration control. I like the 8s. I know they have better vibration control and better cameras, and everything's better. I understand. But if you're as cheap as I am, a Hero 8's a black is a good place to start. I hope that helps. All right. Yeah, Greg's like, I got a Hero 9. Dude, you're in good shape. Yeah. Okay. So, and yes, in fact, yes, the float, the actual GoPro float will float with the adjustable extension neck, the real creaky, fully adjustable universal one, because those are full of air. And even if you have the big claw on it, the spring loaded claw, Mark, that's a good question. I have done testing with it, and it scared the pants out of me when I did it. But yes, they do float. The only I will tell you, the suction cup mount with the short arm will pull the camera underneath the water, but it won't go. It won't sink. It won't go all the way down. It just has a lot of weight. So it's a little sketchier, but the way around that is to tie a daisy chain of zip ties. You take one, long zip ties, get the big long ones, make a loop, daisy chain another loop around it, and then zip tie it through something like your handlebars or something else that you can feed a zip tie through, and you'll never lose it. Ask me how I know, because I do it on really rough water. So, okay. So Life Vest, really quickly, was that level 1 or stage 1 class one, that class 1 Life Vest that I used to race with, that boy's $500. That was a lot of money. Do you need a $500 Kevlar lined class 1 Life Vest? No. But your standard is a class 3. Okay. And I'm going to bring this up. So I'm sorry, I saw that note. That was hilarious. All I can afford is an old Polaroid and a pool noodle. Why are you hanging out with a bunch of jet skiers? You know how expensive this stupid hobby is? I got some visual aids. Both of these life vests are class 3 flotation life vests. U.S. Coast Guard approved class 3 life vests. This one is non-molded EVA foam. It's not molded at all. There's no arc to it. There's no breaks or serrations to it. It's not connected at the side. It's got 3 very thin little buckles with, 1.5 inch straps. Okay. The only thing that's connected is this up top. The straps get all tangled through the back. This vest is the cheapest vest that Slippery offers. All right. This guy, I think the last I saw it was like $45 or $40. All right. Nylon, you can hear it. Not exactly what you call comfortable. All right. This is super serrated. There's mold. There's all sorts of molding in it, all sorts of give and flex. Same amount of flotation as that vest. All right. Which meets Coast Guard minimums. This vest, big buckles. It's got your emergency whistle. All right. Got a big durable zipper on it. Super comfortable, very breathable. Neoprene breathes. It's not, I mean, it's not itchy. It's not scratchy like nylon. I hate nylon vests. I hate them. I hate them. You'll never get a good review for a nylon vest. I don't care who it is. I hate nylon vests. All right. This is over $100. Okay. This is like $119. Okay. Belts run through the inside here, stay nice. This has a break in the foam so that when you sit down, it's not going to pinch. It folds out. Okay. Nice folds in your shoulders, big open areas in front. Well, if you're cheap, you can go with the nylon one. Same amount of flotation. If you want comfortable, you want something that's going to last, you want something that's going to hold up, you want something that's not going to scratch you all and make you uncomfortable, one that's going to breathe and have some air ventilation, you're going to pay for it. Okay. You're paying for quality. And I don't care if it's Jet Pilot. I don't care if it's O'Brien. I don't care what brand it is. Look for some quality material. All right. Just as long, and what fits you best. I hate to say it, but I have recommended Slippery to so many people of different sizes. And there's guys who are just in between sizes. And they jump in a wetsuit or they jump in a life vest and they're like, this thing sucks. I hate this thing. It's uncomfortable. And it's just because we're not all the same. We're not cookie cutter. Sorry. You might be a big dumb Irishman. You might be a little Puerto Rican guy. You might be a big Viking of a Norwegian. I don't know. Doesn't matter. But you got to find something that fits you. I personally really like Slippery. I do. And I raced with Slippery. I raced with Jet Pilot. In fact, Jet Pilot sponsored the last race I did in 2014. But I went back to Slippery because I found all the qualities of a casual recreation rider. I thought the Slipperies were the best. So, anyhow, Billy's here! Woo! It's been a long time since I've done that. Sorry for anyone wearing headphones. Everyone's got to say hi to Billy. I'm going to take a drink. Billy missed my apology. Billy, I gave a very heartfelt apology for being a grouch about New Orleans ride, and I want to grovel for forgiveness for being a grouch about it. And I just told everyone that I am back. I'm back on the horse about hosting rides. They don't have to be, the Iditarod like I was hoping they'd be. But did I pronounce that right? Iditarod? Is that it? Crap. The king of Tampicos. Iditarod. Okay, good. I remembered that. If you guys don't know what the Iditarod is, you got to look it up. We got a super chat. Does the factory tachometer read true past 8,000 RPM or max out on the 19 FX SVHO? Flash to stage 1 plus tune, only getting 7,900 RPM at wide open throttle. Riva site says it should be at 83 RPM. RPMs do read true. The speedometer is your problem. So you have a problem of RPM because most likely impeller. You're not getting your RPMs up. All right. Stage 1 should have an impeller, if I'm not mistaken. So Jared, I would double check that you need to have the you need to do the I think you need to look into the impeller. I think that's what's going to get you. All right. Yeah, and people are also saying, yeah, everyone's jumping on. It's okay, and that's normal. No, you need to be, depending on your altitude, depending on your barometric pressure. How cold it is, how warm it is. altitude, and how much you weigh, how much fuel's in there. It's going to slow you down. If you're fully laden with a big 400-pound guy and you're like, I don't know why it's only spinning 7,800 RPM. Hate to break it to you. But yeah. All right. Jared, before you order anything, call them. Call them and say, this is what I'm experiencing. This is what I think the solution is. What do you guys think? Chances are, yeah, okay, you're at 1,100 feet. Okay, well, again, they test at 4 feet above sea level. Number one. Number two, call them. Tell them that you're at 1,100 feet. Tell them how cold it is, the air temperature, and ask, hey, is the 1318 the impeller? Is the 1318 the next best thing for me? And they'll probably be like, well, yeah. Or why don't you try our cold air kit first, because maybe you're not getting the air to the engine or whatever. So, yeah. Yeah, you're definitely gonna want to call Riva on that one. Okay, so talked a little bit about LifeVest. Talked a little about Riva. Okay, here's a good point. A lot of people get upset with expensive aftermarket parts. They're like, oh man, the Riva sponsons are so expensive, but Kevin's telling me I gotta have these sponsons on my Sea-Doo. Crap, what do I do? So then I get emails, I get super chats and questions going, hey, Kevin, I want to get the Riva Pro Series, but Works is like half the cost. Why don't I go out and just get the Works sponsons? Well, we did a shootout on those, and the Riva sponsons came in first place for several very good reasons. Number two is material cost, engineering. There's a reason for this kind of stuff. There's a reason things cost more. It's not because Riva is going, we're evil capitalists and we're gonna bilk as much money as we can. No, they have a lot of cost and a lot of expense. All right. So a lot of people go, well, what about this option? Like, for example, I'll give you a really good example. Cold air kits. This is a really good one because this answers a lot of people's curiosities. Riva has a very expensive cold air kit. And the reason being is that the plumbing for their cold air kit is pretty extensive to install. And it puts the air element, the air filter element, all the way back up on top of the engine or on top of the gas tank where the factory air box was. Okay, they basically just put it right back to the way it was. And everyone goes, man, that's expensive and that's big and cumbersome. And oh, man. And then JP Racing comes out with a little 90-degree elbow and a big K&N filter that goes on top of it. And they go, ours is a fraction of the cost and you can install it in just a few seconds. And people go, well, I'm just going to do that one. And rightfully so, because it's a lot cheaper and effectively does the same job. And there's a lot of people who argue that, well, they're taking air temperature measurements off of the intake manifold. And they're going, the difference in air temperature, because again, the big argument is you get colder air from where the factory puts all the vent tubes and where Riva puts their air element versus where JP Racing puts their air element. And, Riva's saying, oh, well, you're getting colder air over here. And JP saying, no, man, it's the same. It's the same. The answer is they're both right. And I'll tell you why. The answer is they're both right because they're not talking about the same applications. Riva is saying after an hour of riding, aggressively, hard, whatever, you'll find colder, fresh air comes in where the factory vent tubes are, and our air system is pulling that and feeding it into the engine, and you're getting colder, denser air over an hour, over long distance rides. JP is not concerned with that. JP builds drag racers. JP builds, don't get me wrong, guys who get JP tunes and JP parts go on 4-hour rides. Of course they do. Of course they do. I'm not saying they don't. But the numbers they're reporting are from standstill, drag race back. The air temperature was the same in all the data logs. Well, yeah. But are you doing that with the engine heat soaked? Are you doing that after, are you recording those numbers after 2 hours and putting those on your website? No. That's not saying anything negative towards JP. JP is selling a high performance drag race product. Riva, although it's performance adding, they are looking at over extensive, grueling numbers. So both JP and Riva are right. They're not lying on their websites. But again, it's apples and oranges. It's a little bit of a different conversation. So again, you got to consider, listen, man, I'm not doing these hard offshore endurance rides. I'm not going crazy. I'm not overbuilding this thing. So the JP air element will work great for me. I'm okay with it. Okay, great. Cool. I'm not going to tell you no. I will also tell you the reasons why the Riva cold air kit works too. And it is what it is. And you can not listen to my advice. No one's holding a gun to your head. No one cares. I don't care. If you go, I don't care. I got to tell you this. I know I'm in this for 48 minutes already, but I've only been talking on the topic for 27. I literally got an email from a guy who took the time to write me just to say, I'm still going to beach my ski. Okay. All right. You're telling me I can't have fun. No, I'm not. I'm telling you the manufacturers don't want you jumping your ski. Okay. I'm telling you, if the manufacturers see that you were jumping your ski all over your Instagram page and then something broke and you tried to warranty it, they're going to see all the pictures of you jumping the ski and say, well, he's been jumping the ski. We're not going to warranty it. Same goes for the beaching thing. Okay, so I'm trying to help you keep your ski together longer, but you don't have to do that. That's fine. But to take the time to write me an email just to say, screw you, Kevin, I'm not gonna do what you tell me to do. Okay. Cool. I don't care. I don't even know you. I don't know what you look like. We're not friends. Sweet. Party on, Wayne. I whatever. So I think that was really funny. I'm like, you took the time to tell me I'm still going to beach my ski. Great. You're not hurting my feelings. So anyway, the point that I'm getting to when it comes to that level of expensive part or expensive life vest is you have reasons to spend money. When you're in a rush, most people go for the cheapest thing. Slow down and think about, what am I going to use this for? What's the purpose of this? The same goes for repairs and modifications, and to lesser effect, the dealership you're going to work with. I am very suck an asteroid. Class, will you please answer Suck an Asteroid's question for me? Thank you. So I love this. This is an old anecdote. I don't even know if it even happened. Uh, but I love this story. I don't know if it's another tall tale like the cherry tree, but there's a story that goes that a little bit after George Washington had stepped out of the presidency, and there was no White House at the time. He was running it out of Philadelphia, and then a short time out of Boston. Washington had retired to Mount Vernon, and two neighbors came up to him, came up to his home and asked him, "Hey, can you help us with this property line? We have a property line dispute, and we need an experienced land surveyor." And of course, Washington, before even becoming a general, had surveyed something like 179 different property claims. And he says, "Well, I think you guys can figure it out." And they kind of were insistent to have General George Washington be the man to come out and to properly survey the land and to mark the property divide. So he goes, "Fine, I'll see you tomorrow morning." And he rides out on his horse, and he goes up to the top of the hill. He gets his sextant out, gets all of his equipment out, and he begins to survey the land. Takes him a few minutes, goes back to his horse, pulls out a wooden stake, hammers it into the ground, ties a ribbon to it, and he goes, "Okay, here's the property line. Follow this line all the way down. This is where the property is." And he walks up to him and he goes, "That'll be $25. $25 in 1789 was a lot of money." And they both look at him and they're like, "Holy cow, that's a lot of money." And he goes, "Well, it's $1 for the stake and the ribbon. It's $24 for the experience." And they go, "Okay, yeah, he kind of knows what he's doing." So they pay the $25, and off General Washington goes back home. And the takeaway is experience and know-how is not cheap. You hire the best, you're going to pay for the best. If I want the most bitchin' badass engine for my 69 Charger, I'm going to call Ray Barton or Indy Cylinder Head, probably Ray Barton, using Indy Cylinder Head parts to build me a badass 1100 horsepower motor that I can drive on the street. Okay? You pay for that level of expertise. So when someone goes to Dean Charrier at Dean's team and says, "Dean, I want you to make my Yamaha, my GP SVHO, the most badass GP there is on the water," Dean's going to go, "Okay, well, it's going to cost you." You're going to get exactly what Dean promised. Now, here's the problem. People take quotes from Dean or take quotes from major ski builders, and they go onto Facebook and they bitch about it. They go, "Could you believe that he was going to charge me $22,000 just to tune my already expensive Yamaha or Sea-Doo? Oh, the gall of that guy. Oh, my goodness." And they put that quote up on Facebook, and Dean's like, "What the hell, dude? That was a quote. You don't do that." All right? But everyone's got to go up there and air their grievances online. Well, sure enough, someone's going to pop up and go, "Oh, I could do the same thing Dean did for half the cost and half the time." Suddenly, someone goes, "Oh, well, I'm going to go over to Joe Blow and I'm going to go have Joe Blow build my ski." And guess what happens? "Oh, my supercharger blew up," or all my valves stuck, or "Oh, I chewed up a timing chain," or "Oh my gosh, it doesn't do half of what this guy promised me," or "He's had my ski for a year and he won't answer my emails, and he's some shady dude." It's happened. How many posts have you seen on Facebook of people going, "Don't trust this guy. I gave him $10,000 and he ran away with the money"? Don't trust that guy. He promised me I was going to run 85 miles an hour and it goes 73. People got screwed. All right. And why did they get screwed? Because they didn't do their due diligence. They tried to cheap out. They did no homework on the person or the parts. They tried to cut corners, and it bit them in the butt. Dean Charrier doesn't typically screw people because he's got a lot riding on it, right? Riva typically doesn't screw people because they have a lot riding on it. The big names, the big expensive guys, they have a lot riding on it. They really do. They try to make it right most of the time. But you will find that a lot of stuff ain't cheap. You want to go fast and you want to do it right and not blow up your garbage, you're going to pay. You're going to pay. You want Green Hulk to build you a ski? Get your checkbook out. But you know it's going to run like a scalded dog because their name's on it. It's the reality. They got a lot riding on it. So, again, you're paying for the expertise. Same thing like if you wanted a car painted. You can go to Mako and get a $500 paint job. You know what you're getting. It's going to orange peel, and it's going to look like the skin of an orange and be garbage paint, and it's going to fade and peel off in less than a year. Guess what? You went to Mako. You got a cheap dollar paint job. Or you could pay for a really bitchin' paint job that the company takes care of. So I don't know what to tell you on that one. You can cherry pick where you spend your money. Well, I'll say it this way. I got a lot of grief in the comment section like a couple weeks ago that Kevin's asking for super chats. Well, the super chat thing exists for two reasons. First, like I said earlier today, honestly, I only have so much time. Okay, I'm already at an hour, and this is going to go an hour and a half. At an hour and a half, I'm done. All right, the 3-hour super sessions, unless I advertise it as being a 3-hour super session or a live Q&A where I'll answer any question, I'll try to go through all the questions. But I see a lot of guys asking a lot of questions, and I'm going to tell you right now, there's no way on God's green earth I'm going to get to every one of your questions. I'm just not. And you're going to be upset because you're like, well, Kevin looked over my question. You didn't see my question. And the reality is that I physically cannot get to all of them. And that's hoping that I have answers. So when I say, hey, if you got a burning question and you don't want to wait and it's really got to be answered, and hopefully Kevin's got an answer for it, a $10 super chat bumps you right to the top of the line. I will stop what I'm talking about. I will literally stop what I'm talking about. I got a page full of notes here. I will literally slam on the brakes and I'll answer your question. I will. That's what a super chat gets you. And 9 times out of 10, I also probably send you some free stickers. But the other half of it is, quite frankly, I'm not doing this for free. This is a business. All right. I started doing the podcast as kind of fun, but hanging out and answering questions and taking everyone's questions, you're digging into 20 years of experience. So if you want to ask me something, I'll happily answer it. But I simply don't have the time in this format to get to all of them. And I don't want to leave you hanging. So if you want to hit me up, I'm happy to do it. All right. I'm happy to answer your questions. But there's another half of this. And listen, my goal is to make sure people are on the water. More people are on the water more people are having more fun, and they're on the water longer. That's really the whole purpose of the Watercraft Journal. Purpose of the magazine, purpose of the video channel. The podcast stuff came about because I was getting so many damn emails that I'm like, I should address these topics. And that's where it happened. That's how it came to doing these podcasts. I also like the sound of my own voice. No, anyway. But the reality is that, in answering a lot of these questions, a lot of people are like, hey, it's easier to have a live interaction with Kevin and get my question answered. Speaking of which, Robbie Britt just came in with a super chat. Robbie, did you have a question? I mean, I appreciate the super chat, but I didn't see a question. I'll scroll back up real quickly, but I'm not seeing a question from you. So again, thank you for the super chat. If you do have a question, I will answer it. Got another super chat from Julian. Julian asks, what jet ski lift sling do you recommend for picking up a 2022 GP and a Aquacart? Aquacart is the standard in the industry. I know there's a bunch of them, but Aquacart stands behind their product. And guys, I'll tell you what, the guys at the fabricators at Aquacart, they do really good work. So Aquacart is really like the premier standard. And I've had the best luck customer service wise, getting them on the phone. They don't spend a dime with my magazine. I think they bought a $50 ad when we first started, and it lasted a year. And that was like 2015 or 14. It wasn't very long. But I stand by Aquacart when it comes to a sling. Yeah, I got to say it. Okay. Oh, okay. Robbie had said, thank you for the advice on the Can-Do Speedo. Great product. Yes. Well, I'm glad that was helpful. Robbie, thank you for the super chat, and I'm glad it was helpful. The Can-Do is the way to go when it comes to the speedometer problem. So, okay. The last thing I was going to comment on. Because we have done so many of these videos, because I've done so many quick topics, and we're hoping to do something that we should have been doing from the get-go, and I apologize. I simply either am lazy or too busy, which is a dichotomy. That's a juxtaposition of two different thoughts. But we're going to start in the next month putting timestamps on all the videos. And so that if you're coming at it later and it's published and you look at this hour-long giant podcast and you're like, oh my God, I can't watch this whole thing. Definitely scroll into, look into the description, and you're going to see timestamps for major topic changes for whatever the topic is. So it's like Kevin talks about 2022 Sea-Doos here. Kevin talks about reasons for delay in production. Kevin talks about Riva sponsons here, whatever. And the video will be broken up so that you can go to the timestamp, click on the timestamp, and it'll take you to that exact point that I'm talking about. Humorously enough, that's literally what the quick topics are during the week. But whatever, some people need to be spoon-fed that kind of stuff. We've got 2 super chats. Jim writes, your ride video you talked about how you changed Riva sponson setting from 2 to 3 and the ski was loose. Can you explain the different positions and how the ski will handle? Would stock be setting at 1? No. The Riva sponsons, all right, the stock sponsons do not have a lot of camber. All right. And so they're pretty mild, and the blades don't dip in very deep. And this is specifically talking for the Sea-Doo RXPX, RXTX, GTX, the Sea-Doo, this is what we're talking about. All right. to Jim's question. The Riva sponsons, first, the actual block itself, the actual backing plate, is shaped a different way than the factory sponson. So you're already getting better lift. You're already getting better water engagement. Second of all, the blades are cocked out like this, all right? And they go deep. The reason for sponson blades, we've done a lot of articles and a lot of video explaining this. So I'm only going to take a minute, Jim, so I'm really sorry. But I've gone into so much detail, better detail, with a whiteboard and everything, or in articles with actual CAD design and stuff like that. I strongly recommend you go look at the Watercraft Journal or through our archive and just click on Riva or click on Tech, and you'll get way more information. We have a playlist called Technical, and a lot of technical content will be in there. But why a blade is important is not just drag, all right? That's the work sponson. The work sponson is this big, giant drag of a of a blade that comes in. You're like, wow, I'm getting all this traction. You're getting drag, okay? And drag left unhindered will slow you down. Well, in a turn, the Sea-Doo sponsons have all the drag at the front, and then it steps up gradually, all right? All that bite is at the front. So when you come into a turn, that blade, which you notice how they were kicked out like this? Well, the ski comes in with an inside lean. That blade is now vertical. All right? So now you're dorsal fin, more or less. All right? And that blade, depending on its engagement, how deep or shallow it is going to get you bite. Now, when I first put the sponsons, the Riva Pro Series sponsons, on the RXPX, I had them set at 4, which was the second deepest setting. Why did I do that? Because the ST3 platform, RXTX, Wake Pro, Fish Pro, GTX, same platform, demands at a minimum of 4. I thought the 5 was a little too grabby. The 4 on the RXTX, beautiful, perfect, flawless. If you put the intake grate with that sponson, mwah, buenísimo. All right, but when I put the blade at 4 on the RXPX, I got high sided, it bit too hard, and it broke the tail loose, and it nearly threw me off the ski. Why? Because the pump engagement of the RXPX and the back half of the ski is like this. The back half of the RXTX and the ST3 is flat as a board. It's flat. That's why the big ST3 hulls will disconnect, will lose traction, and slide. They'll actually slide the tail out. And a lot of people think it's the bow hunting, and it's not the bow hunting. It's your ass wagging like an excited Labrador retriever's tail. So the RXPX doesn't need as much traction, doesn't need that blade for a casual rider that deep. For the RXTX, it needs it deeper. Hopefully that answers your question in a very quick way. Robuck69 asks, just got a new single trailer. How can I adjust the winch and the bunks to fit my 2020? Should I take the trailer to the dealer to set it up? If you are uncomfortable with tools, yes. I hate to say it, but because you're asking me, it makes me presume that you should probably take it to the dealer to set it up. Anyone who's comfortable with tools and has the time to do it on a Saturday or Sunday, you can adjust your bunks. I don't know your trailer. I don't know what brand. I don't know how. I don't have any details. You haven't given me any details. I do not know the brand or type of trailer you have. So it's really hard for me to say, okay, go get a 14 millimeter closed end, or a 14 millimeter socket and a boxed end wrench at 14 and sit there, loosen it, back it off the tracks, tighten it up, loosen it up with the ski on the trailer, and then tighten it so that the bunks are laying flat. I don't know. I don't know what trailer you got. I don't know what ski you've got. So unfortunately, yeah, you have an FXHO. Okay. Your 2020 FXHO. But so it's really hard for me in this instance to say, well, yeah, go ahead and loosen them up and put, and have the ski on the trailer and then tighten all the bunks when they're laying flush against the ski. You can do that. Just make sure that you have, I typically like anywhere from 3 to 4 inches of clearance between the crossbar and the very, very leading keel line, center line of the hull. All right. Thankfully, Yamahas don't have a very deep keel. They're pretty rounded. So you shouldn't have a problem making contact with that in any sort of cross rail. But if the ski is on the trailer right now and you don't like it, well, the adjustment of the bunks, if the bunks are flat or the bunks are cocked too much or whatever, loosen them up and just wiggle them so that they're flush and flat against the hull, and then tighten them. Same thing with the winch. There's all sorts of adjustment points. So you're able to change any of the pitch of the winch in front. So you can bump it up or move it down or whatever it is. Or height-wise, you can do that depending on what kind of winch you have, depending on what kind of trailer you have. Continental. It still doesn't help me. Here, I'll type it in. Continental single place PWC trailer. All right, let's look at images. That's a Triton. That's a Loom trailer. Triton Continental trailer galvanized. View image. Okay, so you have, okay. Do not loosen the U-bolts. I strongly recommend not loosening the U-bolts at all. In fact, I want you to tighten them. Wrench them down. Make sure they're tight. Because those kind of bunk stands are like the cheapest. All right? And they bend. They're not very rigid. I don't trust them. I don't like them. But how is the bunk attached? Okay, so the bunk is attached with a small bracket with a single nut and typically a nylock at the end off of the bracket. Okay, you loosen that nut and you can adjust the bunk. What I suggest is loosening, not all the way, but loosening enough those top 2 nuts. There's one at the beginning, one at the end. Loosen them up so you can adjust the bunk, then tightening them down with the ski on it. Do not loosen and move the bunks in the middle. The brackets in the middle with the U-bolts. Don't touch them. In fact, I want you to tighten them if you're going to touch them at all. Do it on both sides. Now, in regards to your winch is attached with 2 U-bolts. Back those up, or back those nuts off and slide it up or slide it down to where you're happiest. Okay? Same thing goes for if you want it closer or further away. It's got 2 U-bolts. Loosen them up, and you can adjust them backwards and forwards. You can, and it's, I don't even know. I think are they 3/4? What size nut are those? They're not 3/4. That's way too big. I'd say they're 9/16. I bet you they're a 9/16 socket or 9/16 wrench. You can sit there and go, back them off. They're 5/8? No way. They're that big? Jason, you're lying to me. They're 5/8. They might be 5/8. Engage your brain. Buy the shirt and then go fix it. No, I'm joking. Yeah, that's going to be, if it's 5/8, it's 5/8. I thought 14 mil. Okay. Everything's in millimeters. Why am I thinking it's going to be in U.S. standard? It's not going to be in imperial. It's going to be in U.S. It's going to be in metric. Oh, guy. We're already an hour and 14 in this. Yeah, Roebuck. It's all U-bolts. It's all ball bearings these days. No, I'm joking. That's from Fletch. Yeah, it's all metric, and it's primarily U-bolts. I don't want you to touch the U-bolts on the bunk. I want you to adjust the nuts holding the bunk to the brackets. But when it comes to your winch, the U-bolts, you're free to move them around. Just make sure they're really tight. I mean, really tight. Okay, we have Jared. Jared's got a super chat. On my 2008 FX SHO, boy, you're rewinding the clock with a stage 1. All right, you're testing me. He's gonna stump me. It's stump Kevin hour. All right, here we go. 08 FX SVHO. All right, let me try this again. Jared Hayes writes, on my 2008 FX SHO with a stage 1, I installed a fizzle intercooler, and then in the heat of summer had a condensation buildup issue in the charge hose, causing hesitation at hit of throttle after cruising. All right, so do you think there was a pinhole inside of the intercooler? The fizzle intercoolers, now it depends on when you got the fizzle. Because Guy, he's had really good build quality for a good time now. He doesn't spend a dime with me. In fact, he won't answer my emails, which is crazy because I have 2.25 million people on the YouTube channel and the magazine. 2.25 million. I think Pro Rider's got about 18,000 subscribers. Anyway, but yeah, Jared, if you're thinking it might have been the fizzle, you're going to have to pressure check the fizzle. You're going to have to take the intercooler out if that's the source of your condensation. The only other question that I would have is, where's your air element? Where is it breathing from? Do you have any extra holes drilled in the hull? Do you have any, like a through exhaust? Do you have extra vent holes all throughout your ski? So you think more air comes in, but you're hoping no more water, extra water won't come in because you might be getting extra water. My question is the engine compartment getting moisture collection? Are you seeing condensation outside of the engine? If not, then it might be your intercooler. It's only 1 season old and it's hold pressure perfect. All right, that's a good question. Yeah, you're gonna have to start chasing. Engine compartment humidity, water. I mean, like if you're getting water in the engine compartment, it's swirling around. You're saying you're getting moisture in. You're getting moisture in the charge hose. If you're getting moisture in the charge hose, what does the inside of the intercooler look like? Are you getting condensation inside of the intercooler? Yeah, that's a curiosity. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, leading up to the throttle body. But nope, just at full speed. You got a good one, man. You got a good one. And you already pressure checked the intercooler. Where else could moisture come in? That's a good question. It looks good, but yes, condensation building up in the intercooler. So now I want to know, that's a good question. So now I want to see what the air intake tube looks like. I want to know what your air element looks like. And then I want to know, are you seeing extra condensation or extra water beading on the engine block? Are you seeing rust or discoloring on the engine or the exhaust or anything like that? After I unhook the hose and drain the water, it runs perfect, but a lot of work to do. Of course, there's a lot of work to do that. Yeah, it's a pill. You shouldn't have to do that. No, Jason, I don't know. I think that I wonder what the intercooler guy, do you have your stock intercooler? Put your stock intercooler back on just for shits and giggles and see if you get the same condensation. You're not going to be as fast. You're going to get hot, but it's just a trial test. It's not a permanent change. You're just doing this for the old noodle. You're doing it just so that you know. Exactly, Jason. How is it that Jason and I are totally on the same page? Time and time again, Jason and I end up on the same page. The Green Hulk Ultimate Air Intake, no excessive water buildup in the engine bay. Okay. Is there water in the air intake? In that hose? It's a Canaflex hose, isn't it? Yeah. Ugh. Yeah, but did you have the same air intake with the stock intercooler? No. All right. So you changed both the Green Hulk. You went. Yeah, everyone's trying to troubleshoot Jared's question. I love this. We're gonna spend all this time on there, and we're not gonna get to my last point because I wanted to actually be a total jerk about one last point if I can. Let me be a jerk about this one last point, and I want to get back to Jared's question. All right. Watercraft Journal offers what's called the Long Hauler Auxiliary Fuel System Kit. It is a off-the-shelf Scepter fuel tank. It's rated for 12 gallons. It can hold 13 and a half. I am running high pressure 55 PSI rated fuel line because I don't want any sort of collapsing. We are running all brass fittings. We are running stainless steel hardware, and we fabricated a rack to perfectly fit that fuel tank and to fit the Watercraft that we have signified. All right. That kit complete shows up in one box at your front door. Typically UPS. Typically. If you're stateside. It's all in one box. It's all wrapped up and it's all ready to go. And if you are remotely good with a set of tools, you can have that tank installed for your first time in about 8 to 10 minutes. Once you've done it and you get used to it, you can take it off, put it back on, literally put it on and take it back off in 10 minutes. I can do, because I created it, I can do it in less than 5. Any Yamaha, any Kawasaki, any pre-2012 Sea-Doo. That's what we designed it for. The IS units, we don't offer it for the IS units because it's hard to attach a rack to the back of the IS units because of that stupid access panel on the back. It would make the brackets almost a foot deep. But we sell that complete comprehensive package for $650. If I choose to knock off $50 or have a summer sale, that's fine. But we sell that kit for $650. I've gotten more people complaining, oh my gosh, it's so expensive. You're out of your mind. Then I say, go ahead and build one. You don't have to buy mine. I'm not forcing you. I'm not holding a gun to your head. But I'm telling you, I've done all the work. We've custom built these parts to fit exactly. Your tank isn't going to move around in the rack. Your rack isn't going to move around and wobble. It's not made out of PVC pipe, and the plastic weld that you use to super glue the damn thing together isn't going to break loose in 2-foot chop. The turnbuckles aren't going to back off. It's going to hold up. We're going to beat the hell out of it. You can beat the hell out of it because we already did. We did the testing. There's no guesswork in there. And I will hold your hand as you try to install it if you're that scared of it. But there's people who are upset about the price. I'm not making a lot of money off of each one of these. But here's the funny thing. What if I was? Do I not have the right to? Does any manufacturer not have the right to set their own price? Right? Now, if it's too expensive, the market will respond and the market will say, no one wants to buy your product because it's too expensive. It's not competitive. And that person will go, okay, well, either I should make it cheaper or I shouldn't do this anymore. It's just how it works. Right? Right? So it's interesting because a lot of people get all Bernie Sanders on me when it comes to the price of the ski. Funny enough, there's people who have bought it and they said this is worth every penny. This went on so easily. Customer service was so responsive. You guys helped me out with my questions. This didn't show up. The replacement part showed up in 4 days. Whatever. It fit perfectly. I take it out on the ocean. I can send you emails. I can send you. We've sold hundreds. We've sold over 100 of these things. People like them. They work. And they work because we put quite a bit of expertise into making one. So, again, you pay for the experience. You pay for the expertise. And there's people who are like, I want a fuel system for my Yamaha, but I don't want it that bad. Okay, that's fine. I think you should, but whatever. Again, what we did was design that kit to be completely removable, to zero modify your fuel system, zero permanent modifications, and to be able to be pulled off of one Yamaha, carried over to the other side of the garage, and put on a Kawasaki and work just as well. And it does. I put my name on it. I have a lot to lose if I'm lying, but I'm not lying. It works. So hopefully that sheds a little bit of light on it. I don't have any great advice to give you except slow down. My advice when it comes to buying product that you need for your personal watercraft, or you want to for your riding experience, slow down. Slow down and look at the attributes. Slow down and go, why is this one so much more expensive? Why is that one so much cheaper? Slow down and engage your brain just a little bit, because I think you'll find the answer. You guys are all smart. You're successful enough to afford buying one of these things, so you're not a total moron, right? That was always the thing that struck me. I'm like, these are expensive, so these guys are making enough money to buy one. They can't be all dinglings, right? So I give you the benefit of the doubt on this one. But again, my advice when it comes to purchasing a action camera, the mounts for it, a life vest, goggles, shoes, riding gear, or what ski to buy. Why is it more expensive? What am I getting out of it? That's the whole hope. All right, guys. Well, we're at an hour and a half. I didn't see any more super chats come in. Grab Mike. Mike, what are you doing? Mike, good to see you. Thank you for the super chat, sir. Yeah, I didn't see any more super chat questions come in. Jared, listen, I think a lot of people have jumped in to help you out on this one. If you still need help, if you still need some advice, or you can't troubleshoot it, please email me directly at kevin.shaw@shawgroupmedia.com. That's my bigger work email. It's kevin.shaw@shawgroupmedia.com or info@watercraft.com. I got two of them because we do run another publication. Go ahead and hit me up. If you haven't found a solution yet, hit me up and I'll walk you through it. I'll connect you with some people. We definitely want to get you going. Atlas, thank you for the super chat. Sounds like some people think you're not allowed to make a living. I don't work for free. Why should you? Hobbies are expensive. F them. On that note, Atlas, I'm going to thank you all very much for a really fun night. Again, I'm going to eat some crow, apologize, and say, guys, let's start doing rides again. Let's look at February if you're interested. We're looking for routes. Hit me up. Please hit me up, and we will definitely look at some February rides. I am not going to the Florida Keys. I'm not going to Miami. I'm not going to drive that far for a one-day ride. Just going to tell you right now. And I'm not Tampa Bay. Already emailed you. I might do it. I might. Sounds kind of fun. February, let's go. Yeah. Let's do north of Tampa. Is there anything north of Tampa? No liberal states. So that's the standing rule. We're still not doing blue states. I'm not wearing a mask anywhere. I'm not wearing a mask to a freaking, Tim Hortons. I don't know what you guys are thinking. You guys are out of your mind. All right. Hey, thanks again. Guys, have a good night. We'll talk soon.